Hello and welcome to Mental Health in the Sacred Sanctuary. Remember, mental health in the Sacred Sanctuary is a sacred space of healing and wellness centered where God dwells. And where does God dwell? God dwells right in the center of us. We are so excited to bring you this episode on this evening, and I have the whole team here. We are here representing mental health awareness, as you can see, with our green on today. And we're coming with a very important topic. So listen, we want you to get your pen, get your paper. We want you to take notes because we're going to have some great information as we move through the topic, navigating seasons of change. So listen, let's start with Michelle. Michelle, you want to just quickly say hi and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Michelle Johnson. I am the parent coach here at Alfred Street Baptist Church.
Hi, I'm LaTonya Taylor. I am the clinical administrative assistant.
My name is Jorge Wallace.
I'm LaTasha Morgan. I'll go with Jorge's simple, sweet, straight to the point. And to my left,
I'm Tiff Majette, the marriage and family therapist.
Whatever she said.
And again, we represent the Office of Christian Care and Counseling here at Alfred Street Baptist Church. It is our immense pleasure to serve this community, not just within the four walls of the church, which is why we're connecting with you on today, but everyone that connects in community with Alfred Street. So welcome to this episode, and let's get ready to jump in. So during the month of August, our team typically does something unique. We bring mental health in the sacred sanctuary to you every month. But in August, we pivot just a bit and we have what's called Masterclasses. This is an opportunity for you to, one, get to know the clinicians that serve at Alfred Street, and two, kind of hear and interact with them through the episodes that are created around a topic that is very important to them. This was supposed to be Jorge's segment, but we decided that we would come together because some content changed. I'll be transparent. We had some content change. And so we brilliantly came together and decided that we were going to do this together as a team, because there is a lot of change happening in the atmosphere. Amen, somebody. Amen. So we're going to talk about navigating those changes, a little bit about just what those changes look like. Eventually, we'll have some tools and tips. And then the great thing about this episode is that it's going to partner well with self-care with intention that Ms.Tiff Majette is going to walk us through for the rest of our masterclasses. So you're going to be able to see us Wednesdays, twice this month, and every Friday you'll be with Ms.Tiff talking about self-care with intention. And then to top it all off, we'll come back to Michelle at the end of the month as she gets parents and young people ready to go back to school. All right, so with that in mind, let's get ready to go. So we're talking about navigating seasons of change. And so I am just going to take a pause and invite you to breathe right now. Because anytime we hear the word change, most people automatically begin to stiffen up and feel a bit of anxiety as you think about change. Did you all feel that as we were talking about change and
Yes.
as we've been preparing for this episode? No? No?
It excites me.
It excites you. Okay, that's good.
Well, change and transitions comes with a lot of different feelings, right?
Absolutely.
So she may be excited. Some other people may be anxious.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you think about it, making sure you take care of yourself during change will allow you to let yourself feel those feelings. Whatever that feeling that comes up, feel it with no judgment, whether it's excitement or anxiety.
I love that. Feel it with no judgment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's important.
So let's talk about some examples of the changes that we are collectively carrying and holding in this season. I'll start it off. Dun, dun, dun.
A big one.
It's election season.
Right.
Lord help us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's election season. And what's happening around election season is that either some people are on one end of the spectrum where they're not engaged at all, or others are all the way on the opposite side where everything around them, every social media post, every television, every print, every article, they are immersed in all things elections. Is that good or bad?
No judgment.
No judgment? Okay, no judgment. However, it can be anxiety inducing, right?
Yes.
You need balance.
Huh?
You need balance.
You need balance.
Yeah. It could be a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Knowing what you can and cannot handle, how much of it.
I love that you brought up balance, and balance does entail stepping away or knowing when to step away. Yes. This is going to be, this is probably going to be a rough election season. Right. Right? And so we're going to have to learn how to take care of ourselves, guarding our ears and our eyes, navigating our voices as we hold up what we value and what we want to see happen, not necessarily for a particular candidate, but in general around what we view as important for us for this election.
I was going to also say knowing our power.
Yeah.
Like, we still have power. It's limited, but we still have action that we can do and things that we can move so we can still feel like we're making a difference and choice and changes throughout this time. Instead of just feeling like you're stuck or you're still or you are powerless. You do have things, and our voice is the biggest power that we have at this time. Yes. Is, spreading knowledge and the word and just getting information out there so people can digest and understand and make good decisions, informative decisions based off correct information.
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
That's it.
And how they process the information.
Yes.
That's one of the things. Because the mind's tendency, when you got like these outcomes that we don't know how things are going to turn out, the tendency is it seems to go left towards this negative thing. So a lot of that energy that comes up is feeding off of this negative thought that if I do this, then I can make it go this way. We saw what it looked like, January 6th. That was all that pent up negative energy because something didn't go your way. So it's incumbent, I think, in this conversation that, it has to be stated. We have to monitor how we're thinking.
Yes.
Because think about it. If I have a negative mindset, any information that I ingest is always going to feel negative.
That's right. That internal dialogue around this time, especially because critical. We, as people of color, are going to be under attack a lot and greater than what it's already been. Then our internal dialogue and our self-care and our self-worth has to be very important and more intentional about what we're allowing in and what we are thinking and spewing out, and then what we come back out with.
So if we're prioritizing ourselves, we also have to figure out how to leave some space in between, right? So step back, balance, but purposely leave space in between. Like if you're going to consume and you need that space to process, like Jorge said, and to think about where your mindset is. So leave some space.
Leave some space.
Leave some space.
Yeah, and I love the, reminding us that this is a process. Our brain needs time to process because with change comes emotions. That's an automatic connection, right? And emotions aren't bad. They're good, right? No judgment. But emotions cause or elicit behavior, right? And so you can, so everything from, happy, sad, angry, upset, frustrated, retaliative, all the things, right? And so if we are able to, be mindful, have some balance, give space, right? We can make room for those emotions, and then it helps us to make better informed choices around our emotions and how we decide to react or act or interact.
Yeah, because what we think impacts our feelings, and our feelings impacts our choices.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, it's important to be mindful. Yeah.
What you think comes out here. What comes out here then manifests into behavior.
Yes.
Right. And it's one thing I've noticed is and what you don't communicate comes out in your behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's important, especially in relationships, right? that, and not just romantic, but family and extended. I see it play out because, people don't communicate.
Yeah.
They just do a lot of assuming.
Yeah.
And what they're communicating really comes out behaviorally. So it's like, you're sitting around somebody with an attitude when you ask them what's wrong with nothing. I'm okay. I'm good. And
then assumptions happen.
Because
there's this uncommunicated. I use this all the time, and you all may have even heard me say this. Uncommunicated expectations.
Absolutely.
Is the downfall of every relationship.
Right.
Regardless if it's an intimate relationship or a familiar relationship or just a, friendship, all the ships. It's the downfall.
And all those things are going to be tested during this time.
You want to sink a ship?
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Because you end up just reacting to a person's energy as opposed to what they're actually saying.
Right. And that's the thing.
And feelings change and they're temporary.
Right. And right now, especially if we center it around the political thing, like people may have different opinions, but they never communicate. They just stand on this hill and fight.
Yes.
And peace is in the valley. It ain't on the hill.
Say that again. Peace is where?
In the valley.
Peace is in the valley. Listen, peace is in the valley. And that means, right, as we're talking about navigating seasons of change and thinking about self-care, you've got to find, so the valley, no judgment, is not always bad. You've got to find your safe space. You've got to find that place of peace for you. You can't do it if you are engorged or, just all in. Be all in, 10 toes down, but don't step back sommes too. Yeah?
Leave some space in between.
Leave some space in between.
Well,
Leave some space in between.
Well, I was thinking the one verse I can't think of, so I won't butcher it. But but when you said that, the first thing that popped in my mind was effective boundaries.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Because, we may set boundaries, but they're ineffective, even with ourselves.
Yeah.
I was sharing with a member the other day that when we set those boundaries, it lets the other person, know how far to come.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
But we don't think about ourselves. It lets us know how far to go.
I was about to say,
because we'll go past our set boundaries.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what I feel. Like boundaries aren't for other people; they're for ourselves.
For me.
Right.
It's
Boundaries
for us to make sure I know my limits, where I can and cannot go, who I cannot interact, and what conversations I can or am not ready for.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily for anybody else. They're going to get the point and the hint, but the boundary is for self, so you can operate at the highest self.
Or you can make your expectation known, so it's not uncommunicated. Right? So yes, it's for us, and so they understand what their limit is with you. Yeah, you communicate that, so there's no assumptions.
That's right.
Right? So navigating all of this, knowing who you can have a conversation with about it.
Right.
When the conversation gets too far, and you already know, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm not going to argue with you. I don't actually have to argue my point.
That's right.
That's a boundary that I can set up for myself to take care of me.
That's
right?
Absolutely.
I don't actually have to argue with you. I don't actually have to agree with you. But there's a boundary around how much I'm going to engage in this conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have to curve that urge.
Curve the urge.
Right. To be right. To win the argument. Right. So that's all you want to do is win. But it's not a real. We all losing.
It was said to me one time, like, you want to be right or you want to be at peace?
Right.
Which one?
And I had to think about it because
Right or dead wrong. Oh, sorry. Right or at peace.
It's the old me.
I'm still working.
I understand. No, but that makes sense though, because you will be at peace, huh?
Yeah, you will be.
That's right.
But she was right.
In the valley.
I love freedom. We're gonna go with right or peace.
Yeah, right or peace. Nah, it's something I think about though. Like when you said when I determine, what conversations I'm going to engage in, and including those that are brought to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm praying to be peaceful.
Right.
But sometimes it's like I want to be right,
Right.
but they think they right, So I'm gonna be at peace,
Right.
and I'm gonna let you be
I'm
right.
gonna let you be right.
And be okay with that.
It's
And be
okay.
Because it's not
Right.
going to change what I feel or think at that
At
moment,
all.
right?
And I
So,
still want to respect you because I want you to still respect me regardless if you understand or agree, right? Just still respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right, because what we do know is change is inevitable, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's going to happen.
Period.
There's no way around it. And so what we hope as we have this discussion on this evening is that we give you some tools and more importantly, that you think about like your proactive work to address change. You may not know what's coming, but what you do know is that something is going to change. So we're talking about the election, but listen, now it's time to go back to school. Summer breaks are over for kids and parents. Well, winding down, right? That's a big change. And so the household moves from vacation mode back to work mode, even though parents never got off. I keep trying to, I keep emphasizing that. Because it's inevitable, but that's something we can prepare for. We can be proactive about. We can start thinking now, well, what do I need to do to get things back on schedule? Do I need to create a new schedule? Right? How does this new commute look? Is there a new school? What do I need to anticipate around my student returning to school, going to a new grade? These are things that we can control.
through conversation.
Right? That's right.
Because what happens is if we don't think about what works and try to start all over, now we're creating new habits, which creates some new frustration because it takes forever to create that habit.
That's right.
So the conversation that should start, if it hasn't already, is what worked last year? What were the things that made it calm and peaceful in the household?
Yeah.
And then think about the things that work.
Yeah.
And think about the changes.
Right.
Is there new? Are we going to high school? Are we going to a new school?
Yeah.
Will that still work? What can we keep?
Yeah.
What do we need to let go? And then how do we want it to look? What do we want more of? Right.
Yeah.
So if that worked, how do we get more of what worked?
Yeah.
And have that conversation so that there are no uncommunicated expectations from the mom to the child.
Right,
and the
you'll never
child
forget
to
it.
the mom. I'm never gonna forget that. That's a big statement, y'all. I want y'all to remember that. And so you have to be intentional.
Yeah,
I was
intentional.
actually had the opportunity of listening to a young person say, I asked him what he was doing and how summer was going, and what are you gonna do today? He said, I'm trying to figure out what my schedule going to be like next year. I said,
wow.
What, young man? And this is the young man going to high school, right?
Okay.
And he was like, yeah. And so I offered him that. I said, well, think about what worked.
Yeah.
Think about what things make your mornings the way you want them to feel.
Okay.
And what is it that you want more of in the morning?
Yeah.
And then figure out what that feels like and looks like for you. And then design your morning. And then be open to it might need to change.
That's right.
Right? Once school starts, you might need to adjust it, but at least you know what you want your morning to feel like.
Yeah. So that means you all have to tune in on August the 28th for Mental Health in the Sacred Sanctuary as the transition conversation goes a bit further and deeper with Michelle. And you've got to make sure that you check out Self-Care with Intention with Ms.Tiff as we move through these Fridays in the month. So this is just kind of a teaser. We're just kind of giving you a preview of what to expect as you move forward. Another change that we discussed and thought about was the changes that happen as a result of just the lifespan. As we begin to age, right?
Turn 50.
Yeah. I'm happy about it. Birthdays coming around.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. Absolutely. Yes, they're welcoming me into the 5-0 club.
Yes,
so,
right.
all right.
We got one on the way.
Got a couple more weeks. Yeah, but I was thinking this morning, like, Lord, those are new. That means new appointments and different kinds of exams and shots and Lord, all the things. And then I shut it down. I was like, hey, you got a few more weeks. No need to lament. Right. Just breathe, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Absolutely.
One thing at a time.
One moment at a time. But as we work, as Jorge in particular works with our seniors, and we talk with them about, the magnitude of changes that they're experiencing.
Yes.
Right?
I have a 80. How old ain't Tiff? And if she see this, she'll give me 82.
Okay.
83.
I love it.
And she gets up most mornings, and she does her water aerobics at the Y. She actually teaches the class.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And so...
talk about reinventing yourself.
Right, right. So when she's my, like, source of information...
This is your aunt?
My aunt, right. As I talk to the seasoned saints here. Just about how they're processing, how things have changed from when they were born to now.
Yeah.
And all the advances for, in technology and so forth. And for some, for our people.
Yeah.
So listening to her, helps to kind of set the tone for the conversations that I have so that I have an understanding of how they see this world versus how I think they see it.
Yeah. Or how we think they should see it.
Right. That versus.
Yeah. So it helps with when I'm trying to explain something like emotional regulation to a seasoned saint. They ain't thinking about emotion. Too many syllables. But if I hear from my aunt, like, I just tell them to breathe. And, I'm like, well, that makes some perfect sense.
Right.
Emotional,
That's emotional regulation. Right. That's it. Go back to the basics, right?
Right. Well, it's so much.
Form.
It's so much. I believe that like when God created us, and it says that we're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
I encourage people to investigate that because we are. There are. We say breathe. And jokingly, and sometimes but. Yeah. That's the one thing that we don't do when we start to kind of go off the rails.
Yeah.
We hear something, we tense up. Somebody say something we don't like, we tense up. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to add to that sometimes we take for granted breathing.
Yes.
We're breathing, yes, because we are alive. But deep breathing and breathing with intention is a different level which is a God-given gift that helps restore and reset blood flow and wake up oxygen and allow us to find ourselves in a different place. I was looking at some information yesterday I was sharing with Jorge in the office, and 2 pictures of the brain that was monitoring blood flow. And so as you hold your breath, perhaps you're having anxiety or panic attack, or maybe you're hyperventilating, right? The difference in between active, deep breathing and breathing on that other level, the blood flow is lessened. So the blood flow to our brain is lessened when we are not actively breathing deeply to restore and reset ourselves. Literally the side-by-side comparison, it was bright yellows showing active blood flow to dark blues and blacks, to holding your breath. And I am guilty of that often, about holding my breath and catching myself like, oh, breathe.
Breathe, right.
And so just something, I know they sound like very basic, principles and tools and guidelines, but we've got to go back to the basics because we've gone too far ahead with so many other things, and they aren't working for us.
It does allow us to pause ourselves when we take time to deep breathe and check in and reassure ourselves that we are safe, right now in this moment, regardless of what our mind, I know big imaginations try to tell us in the moment that, we're scared, but currently right now we pause and we actually take time to breathe. We can reassure ourselves and our system that we are safe, and we can allow ourselves that moment to plan what's next. And because when you're wound up, you can't think. You can't really properly plan if you can't think.
That's right.
And so you need to slow yourself down, and you need to reassure self that we are safe. And now, okay, what is our very next step? And that next step doesn't have to be the plan towards the action. It could just be, let's get some water, or let's go outside, or let's call that mom or that friend or whoever to like
help regulate.
Help. You know?
No, just let me calm down. Take a break. I worked with somebody this week who walked into me, and I can tell that they were a little flustered. And the first thing that came to my mind was breathe. I was like, okay. And I'm looking at my computer. I said, okay, I think you need to breathe. And I saw the chat. I looked over. I was like, okay. So then I stopped, looked them dead in the eyes. I'm like, okay, let's breathe. Let's calm down and let's start all over again. And so then, as they were talking to me, I could tell their tone changed, and they seemed a little bit balanced. They seemed balanced versus being all over the place. You can tell that they were raw in their emotions. But in order to get things done, I need you to calm down. So I took
get past this moment.
Get past this moment, and they was like, "Thank you."
It's just as much as as it is needed for me, for you. Right. Help me help you. Right. Exactly. That's it.
Right.
But it goes back to what Jorge said about how God designed us.
Yeah.
Like we are designed, when you really dig into how our bodies are designed, and that he breathed life into us. So breath is life.
Yeah.
And it gives you life in so many different ways. And then when you pause and breathe, it reminds you that he's there too. Right? When you take that breath, you be like, oh yeah, you are right here with me, Holy Spirit, right? You feel that you get an opportunity to then be able to quiet yourself and feel his presence. Right? Because when we all over the place, we not feeling his presence. We forgetting that, right? Because the word says 1,000,000 times, don't be anxious. Okay, Jesus, but.
So
the way we can get past the buts and to follow through is to be intentional with our breath, because the breath reminds us that he's there with us too.
Now Tiff mentioned like pause, right? And I was listening to something this week, and the gentleman talked about how he would like to, he set time aside where he would sit and rest or pause. He said, but what he learned was he started to listen to the quiet. And the things that were starting to like come to him, he immediately started journaling. You know, and I thought the concept was pretty cool. Like, I especially like to listen to the quiet, because most of us, myself included, we sometimes get uncomfortable with silence. So we want to fill the room with noise.
But in
music,
the quiet,
podcast, TV.
Just
extra sound. Somebody on the phone
CNN,
just
Channel
talking.
4,
You don't even be alone with yourself.
C-SPAN,
all of it.
Lately, I've been riding to work without my radio or without a podcast, just so I can get more comfortable. You said you gotta get to work.
Traffic.
You gotta get distracted.
I need a distraction.
But it's a lot to not do that, right? Because that's what I normally do. I was like, I need this, so I don't be bothered with all the foolishness around me. But lately, God was like, don't turn that radio on. Just be still. And I'm like, because it's uncomfortable. It's not a habit, right? It has to be an intentional thing.
Most times, if I'm not riding and I'm by myself, then that's my time to talk to self and self-reflect and, you know, get it all out, whatever I haven't at the time. You know, in the road, it's just me and just God. And so I can just release, you know. But 9 times out of 10, if I got somewhere to go, I need that music on. Because,
for that podcast.
Understand, it has a time and place.
It does. And
It
we're talking about, like, one of those key tools is balance.
But
So
no, that it's just...
And learning self. Right, so learning what works, when it works, how it works.
Absolutely.
You gotta slow down
to learn that.
I use this acronym, STOP, SPPPR, stop, pause, pray, re-engage. And if you get to the R and you can't re-engage, go back to stop.
Go back to the beginning.
Try it again, pause, pray, and I mean like that ugly, like that ugly prayer, that honest,
come on.
that raw prayer, not the pretty prayer. This is not the place. This is the, like, God,
right? Watch it.
I'm on the edge. Don't push me because I'm right. that kind of prayer. That kind of prayer. And do it until you can get to a place where you re-engage. And a part of this, a part of the reason why we have Masterclass during August is because it is the month of rest at Alfred Street for many ministries, not all, but for many ministries. Because rest is important. And so, just kind of reminding people. And so as you all were talking about the connection around being quiet, silence is a way to rest. Silence is a way to rest your mind, and it's a way to receive the creativity and the intuition and the divine revelation and impartation that we can get from nature, from God, when we can take a moment and just be quiet. I wholeheartedly believe that nature can minister to you if you let it. I'm not going to go into that sermon, but listen, nature will minister to you, and it will remind you, like, it's really not that bad, because I've been around for thousands of years.
Right. Okay.
And I'm still standing. Like, if the trees could talk, right?
Right.
If the rivers began to speak, right? Listen, I've been here. I've seen some things. I've been through some things, hurricanes, disasters, you name it. Right? And God has still sustained me.
Yes.
So sometimes, they call them people in the therapy profession, call them tree huggers. Sometimes you just got to get out there and hug a tree. Sit in the wind. And let your
appreciate the beauty.
Thoughts. Appreciate the beauty of life. Let your thoughts get lost.
And that's the first thing God created. He created all that before he created us.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
He was like, listen, I'm put this here for y'all right here so that y'all remember what this feels like when you have it, right?
Yeah. So change happens. But you said.
No, I was just gonna say, so with all of that, with change. And this change in season. Right? So for those of us that are vitamin D deficient, that need some sunshine,
right? That's a natural gift.
Right. Yeah. So as we get into this fall season, sun may not be around as much.
That's
anymore.
right. That's right.
So we have a shifting in
the weather. Yeah.
And what comes with that.
Yeah. Seasonal affective disorder.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That quiet and subtle friend that affects a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's something to think about. Yes.
It impacts your mood.
Absolutely. Appetite.
Sleep patterns.
All that, yes.
Interactions. Yeah, it causes many to withdraw.
It does it does something else, but I don't want to say the word because it starts with an S.
Okay.
Right.
But it does that too.
Okay.
Right. Decreases.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's if you're looking for symptoms.
Yeah.
Because it's so subtle.
Yeah.
We just don't feel like doing the stuff that we used to do.
Yeah, and that's a rapid change that happens. Like we get through August, it's summer, it's the end of summer, and then
it's dark.
Fall comes, and then it's like, wait, it's 5:30 and it's dark.
It's dark in the morning.
And again,
it's dark
I
at
love
night.
it.
You love it.
Yeah.
And it's starting now.
You're so excited. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's starting now, right?
It is because
it's getting dark
earlier.
sooner and sooner,
and I'm excited.
But
yes.
So, Jorge said something really important. Like, some people isolate during that time.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's cold outside.
That's right.
I want to connect that to the election. And the politics, right? So it'll be November.
Yeah.
So our mood is shifting for a lot of different reasons.
That's right.
And then seasons are coming
you gotta
up.
remember not to totally isolate.
Yeah. I need you to keep that same energy when it's time to vote. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to do this.
So it's a time. So we might need some time alone,
Yeah.
and we need community.
Yes.
Right. So don't isolate. Lean into community in a way that you can receive care during that time. And if you don't realize that that's you, if you're the one who I learned it was me when when I first got married and my former spouse was like, why is every light on in this house? Because I didn't like it being so dark.
So we've got two ends of the table here.
Right.
I love fall. I love going out when it's light, but I don't like the darkness that seems to be immense at that time. But we need to lean in. We all need some extra love. We're going to need some extra love.
We're going to need some extra love.
Because it's just this compounding thing. I mean, we have the election, right?
Yep.
We have changing season, which can bring on seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Then we come right into the holidays.
Yeah. And before we get to the holidays, speaking of seasons, like we've been noticing just kind of devastating weather patterns.
Absolutely.
Right? I think you had some information about that.
Right. I was just scrolling through TikTok, as sometimes I normally do.
TikTok kid.
I am a TikToker.
She is the TikTok kid.
But I have recipes, I find restaurants and all kinds of stuff on TikTok. Okay, so let me just go ahead and settle that. But when I was scrolling through TikTok, I came upon a video of a young lady talking about a tornado in Chicago, and that kind of stopped. I stopped. I was like, huh? So I watched the video, and it was a Ring camera on her house, and you saw how the tornado was coming. You saw the house. I saw the garage. I saw the black car. All of a sudden, the wind started coming. Yeah. Because at first it was the rain, then the wind. Then all of a sudden, the siding started to fall off, and I'm like, oh. And then in another part of the video, you see a car jump up around the back. And I'm like, okay, the roof. Yeah. And next thing you know, the white garage door that was there is gone.
Yeah. That's
and
huge.
I'm like, you talking about Chicago.
Yeah.
We hear about it in other states that are not so close to us.
Honestly, other countries.
Other countries. But we're talking about Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge change and adjustment to think about having to get, like, this is our new normal.
Right.
Yeah, the weather is so unpredictable.
That the weather is so unpredictable. It's going to be 100 degrees, 105 degrees a day here in the Virginia
with an
area.
80% chance of raining on your head.
Yeah.
That took 3 steps outside my door to get to my car. I was telling Michelle, I said, to get to my car, come walk up 5 steps, and there's my car. And I'm coming up the steps like, oh.
Hot, humid, hazy already, first thing in the morning.
It's like, wow. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to deal with.
After a thunderstorm last night.
Yeah. Right, a powerful thunderstorm that when we went home, we was talking about how you see the debris on the street. So we knew just from here what it was doing. And then you saw the debris on the streets. We get home, we have lights. Yeah. You settle down, everything is okay. Yeah. It stopped raining, just nice and chill. Yeah. Then all of a sudden the light flickered.
Right.
Okay. All right. I told her, so I'm in my bathroom doing my hair. Then all of a sudden the light just shut off. Yeah. And when I looked to the left, looked to the right, all the windows was black. And I'm like, it's not doing nothing outside.
It's a lot of adjustment.
A lot of adjustment.
Yeah, so we just had to adjust. Yeah. Me and my dog just sat there and just relax. I hear the neighbors going through, but then I just sat there. So I thought about what you were saying. Sometimes we just have to be and just sit. Yeah. And it was really peaceful. First I was nervous, but then I was like, okay.
Yeah, sometimes we have to just tell the Lord, thank you for the interruption, right?
Right, exactly.
Because we won't sit ourselves down, but God has a way. God has a way.
Absolutely.
Thank you for adding that information. So I know you were going to jump quickly to holidays, and then we're going to share just kind of what we do for self-care. Encourage you a little bit more and get on out of here. So the holidays are coming. So that's a big change and shift, especially as people are navigating spaces of grief.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of, how can I put it? It's the holidays are like a lot of firsts for people. Yeah. So it's the first holiday without Big Mama. It's the first this without that,
and separated.
Yeah.
Right. It's the first
without your kids.
Christmas without my kids. Yeah. So it's like you said, it's a lot of changes, but it's manageable and doable.
Yeah. If we
once
can
you identify it.
Right? Identify it, right? do our best to not isolate, but embrace community.
Yes.
So that we're not walking by ourselves. That we've recognized that, change is inevitable.
This is all temporary.
And it is temporary. Some things may last longer than others. And on one hand, change is hard. Change is necessary. Right? Inevitable, right? And so it doesn't have to be one or the other, but it's a and all situation.
Yes.
Change represents a lot of different things. But with the right tools and with the right intention, as we think about how we can care for ourselves, how we can come into self better, how we can shake hands with God to help us through it. And we don't have to go rogue and be the solo only.
Right.
But we have a God that not only cares and loves us, but is concerned, so much so that, right, we don't have to do this by ourselves, right? So I heard someone say, okay, Dr. Morgan, that's great, but, right, self-care, this whole self-care thing is easier said than done. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I had to be honest and say, self-care has proven to be difficult for me. However, not one or the other, but all of the above, I notice more and more that it's absolutely necessary. So let's talk about that for a second. So easier said than done. What does self-care look like for you all?
One day Tiffany and I were talking about this, and we were talking about those pedicures and manicures. I called it self-care. She said, that's nothing but maintenance.
That's maintenance. Yes, I heard that before. So, yes, maintain.
So
that's
I
good.
said, you know what? All right, I'm going to put that. All right. So
now, what you do
during
the pedicure could...
Well, you know what I'm going to do.
Read.
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah.
He's gonna reading is self-care.
Right.
But it is.
Yeah.
It is. And to everybody's point, it's like being intentional about what am I going to do? What brings me, a sense of ease or peace or connectedness, or...
I was about to say, it starts with first identifying what self-care is to you.
And then identifying what it is to you.
Yeah. So you gotta watch her episode.
That's why you watch her episode.
Let's start with what it ain't first.
It ain't no pedicure or manicure.
Right, ain't that.
No, it's self-maintenance. If you are growing a person, that's necessary to be out here.
It makes sense.
Make sure you take care of yourself. That's maintenance.
That's right.
But how are you intentionally showing you that you love you and you care for you? That's self-care.
Setting boundaries is self-care.
Exactly.
That's right. So let's speak from a personal place, right? Because we can speak from the expert place. We know what we should do. We know what we should direct and instruct others to do. Yeah. But what are we doing? And so I'm going to start. Okay. I'm going to start. My first step is, one, I am very keenly aware that I'm not doing self-care as best as I can. And so what I have decided to do and I have begun doing in small steps is taking those small moments. So using days and taking time off of work, getting up earlier to just have a moment for meditation, devotion, and prayer. That's something that helps me set my intention for the day. I shared in another episode how I make up my bed and I pray over my bed for my day, and so that I safely return back to this space to be able to rest. So those are two consistent things that I do. So what about you?
I was asked yesterday, matter of fact, what I do for self-care, and I got stuck on maintenance, But, for me, taking some time off, right, is important because I don't.
Right, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
He has submitted. I can officially attest
that
he has submitted some time.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Because you don't take time off.
Nah, I will, be with you in spirit. Right? But even with that, I mean, like trying to plan, like, what am I going to do on my time off? You know, that kind of stuff. But this is, you know,
That's
reading
your
has
thing.
been
That's
the thing for me. And I thank God I was raised by an educator because she instilled that love for reading in me. So it's finding those things, like Tiff said, you know, that work for you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what we do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Ms.Tiff?
Okay. Trying to think about what I need to share.
Yeah,
I play Sims.
the G version.
Right?
You play Sims.
Yeah, that's my form of self-care, escaping into a whole other world where I can control a little bit.
Right.
Especially on heavy days, heavy client days. And then
It sounds like a big pause. Yeah,
it is.
Stepping away.
It takes me away, and it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's fun. And so it's like, okay, you could play. Like, I give myself permission to play.
Play, absolutely.
Play is self-care.
It is self-care, right? And I'm a mom, but I'm also a plant mom. So, you know, I love my flowers and, tending to my garden.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Well, I ain't seen no flowers. Right.
They in her personal space.
Right. Not in her office. Like, not in her office. Like you.
Right.
Jorge does bring flowers every Tuesday, but he only brings them for himself.
For Jorge.
Right.
For Jorge.
Well,
we get candles. We get candles.
We do get the candles. He sets the ambiance and the environment for the
and everybody
office.
talks about him.
Yeah. And that's a form of self-care as well. LT, what about you?
Let's see. I have my daily devotions in the morning.
Okay.
So I do take time to just get up and read. Mm-hmm. And then I may fall back to sleep for like an hour. So normally I'm up between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. I do my devotions, and then I go back to sleep. And it's a nice peaceful sleep for about an hour or two. And then I wake up and then get started with my day. So I do try to make sure I do my devotions because it don't feel right. I didn't do the devotions one day last week. I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute, hold up. So in the middle of the day, I had to stop, pause, and read my devotions because I didn't do it that morning. So I knew that I was a little off. And I figured out, okay, yes, you didn't do your devotion. You didn't take time for you. So I try to make sure I take that time for me.
Awesome.
So that's something I am working on.
Awesome.
So I'm like the 80-year-old. I am in the pool doing aquatics.
Okay.
I love the exercise. It is my mental, physical, emotional health is based
so
around
many benefits to
exercise. In nature, I like to go out and walk. So I love to get a couple miles or so in. And then I've learned to be compassionate with self.
Okay.
And give myself a little bit of space. Because when I didn't go to the pool on Wednesday, and I allowed myself to say, that doesn't mean you're not going on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
It just means you didn't make
go
it to today.
Right.
That's right.
And so sometimes we
that.
get caught up in routines, right? And I know Tiff's going to talk about this some more, so I'm going to leave that alone.
Okay.
But you gotta, so that's what I do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that's one thing that I do as well is practice grace. Like, that's a good form of self-care.
Yes,
like,
it
letting
is.
myself off the hook, reminding myself I'm human. I'm allowed to make mistakes and err.
Absolutely.
And doing it enough so that I can let other people off the hook too. You know, like, it's okay. Like, and it really be okay as opposed to me just saying it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Some of us are good at letting others off, right? We're good at compassion for everybody else.
and when I say others, I should have said my child. Right? And, like, I took those close to us. You know, when you correcting self and you correct everybody else's close to you behavior. And it's like, you can live, you can be too. You can make mistakes.
But some
too.
of us are good at having
See what it
compassion and
looks
empathy
like.
for others and not ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I meant by self-care and like that self-compassion. And so if you struggle with that, pretend you talking to your friend.
Right.
The way you would talk to a friend when they're having a rough time, talk to yourself like
Talk
that.
to
Like, I had to
yourself
talk
like
to
that.
myself. Like, if it was my friend who missed class, I was like, girl, it's all right, come next week. So I had to tell myself, it's all right, girl, you're going on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then
I got
one
a
last
friend
thing.
named Lloyd. I'm going to say this. I got a friend named Lloyd that would tell me every day when I talk to him to be kind to you. Because I have all this stuff, and he just said, just be kind to you.
Yeah.
And it's something that I try to keep in the forefront because I don't do that so well.
But
I'm sorry.
Close to your point, when I journal, I'm not as consistent as I want to be, but every time I finish, my page, I always tell myself, I love you, Tiff.
Yeah.
Like, that's my
beautiful
signature for that.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to release all of this, and some going to be good, some going to be bad, some going to be hurtful. But at the end of the day, I love you. So that's always something that I like to write off. Like, I love you, Tiff. I love that. Like, just...
This is good.
It is good. It is good. And so listen, family, as you're watching, we invite you, at least they don't know this, but I'm going to say this. We invite you to hold us accountable. So send us an email at pastoralcounseling@alfredstreet.org.
Make sure she gave the right email.
And look, you send it to me, and I'm going to send it to them. And check in on us and see how we're doing, and then tell us how you're doing with your self-care journey as you're navigating seasons of change. We've highlighted a lot of information on today. We know that change can be difficult, that change is inevitable, and that change, we can prepare as much as we can, but we'll never be able to know exactly what's on the other side of that, and that's okay. That's not our job. We've given you some amazing tips, some amazing tools, so I hope that you not only replay it if you need it, jot the information down, but also share it so that we can get this information out. We will likely have to come back with an election edition, so hold fast. We'll probably do that so we can help you navigate specifically that stress that's coming up. But in the interim, we invite you to follow Ms.Tiff Fridays in the month of August for Self-Care with Intention. She'll be there every Friday at 7 p.m. for the month of August with that episode. We will come back with a part 2 in 2 weeks, and we will talk about rest in more detail and grace as we talk about navigating seasons of change. And then Miss Michelle will come back and close us out for the month, as I said before, as we begin to transition to back to school. And so my final comment and question before we get ready to pray is, how can we support you? And what can we pray for you about? So again, pastoral counseling at alfredstreet.org. Send all the emails. I personally receive them. I personally read them. I will personally respond. And together around this episode, we'll make sure that we do what we can. We're not going to extend ourselves beyond our ability, but we will do what we can to support you in this time. Any final words or comments? Words of encouragement before we get ready to pray out.
To remember to take care of you.
Remember to take
on
care
purpose.
Of you. Yeah.
That's it. That was good.
Kudos. Yeah, what she said.
Remember to take care of you.
Remember to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of resources for you. We have an online article that has a list of resources. It should be up later today. And so we're looking at rest for the month of August. So go to alfredstreet.org and look for the Office of Christian Care and Counseling under Member Needs, and you'll be able to find that article. If you are struggling with suicide ideation, mental health crises, 988 for the National Lifeline is the number I want you to just hold space for. 988. You can dial that number from any phone, landline or cell, and you'll get a trained professional that will be able to assist you immediately. This number is available 24/7. And lastly, the National Essential Care Line, which is 211. This will provide you with multiple options that you need if you need resources and care, food resources, housing referrals, mental health and mental crisis assistance, simply by dialing 211. So these are 2 national numbers that you can hold and use. So as we get ready to pray out, thank you all so much for joining us as we supported our brother, our supervisor here for the Masterclass and content change. And I think, honestly, it was a good change, it was a change in a good direction. It was one we weren't expecting, but I think that we were able to manage it and navigate it as the best that we could. So with that in mind, I just ask that you bow your heads. Changes in life happen more times than we can count. We cannot always prepare, but we can learn how to proactively, in a healthy way, learn how to care for ourselves as changes occur. The Bible reminds us that changes happen and that there is a time for everything. If you go to Ecclesiastes 3, we're reminded that there is a time and a season for everything. And so, God, we come to you bringing all of ourselves, all of who we are, all of our cares, all of our concerns, all of our curiosity, questions, and even the creativity that you have blessed us with. As we navigate these seasons of changes, God, we ask that you will remind us regularly that we are not alone, that there is community for us and that there is a God above us that walks with us. And so you're not just the God that sits high and looks low, but you're the God that will get down in the middle of our situation. You are the God that will cause the right person with the right word and the right tool to help us in any situation or predicament that we find ourselves. God, help us to hold fast to our faith in times where it seems to be increasingly difficult to do. Father, we thank you for this moment and opportunity to share with your people. And we ask, God, that all of the requests that bombard heaven, that we know that you are big enough to handle and hold, that you will begin individually and collectively answering and meeting the needs that have been brought to you by your children. Thank you for the privilege and the opportunity of prayer. It is in the mighty name of Christ I pray. Amen. Amen. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Don't forget to make note of all of the other episodes and airings that will come your way. And if you don't do anything else, take care of yourself.